women historically, do we think it's just going to end right now? This is 400 years of conditioning.
Absolutely, but I want to say this
If
too.
I could say,
Go ahead, Carla.
if I could say one last thing, because I know you guys want to move on to different callers. For me, the frustrating part is that at this point, I personally feel that as Black women, we are complicit in it, and it's not that we're ignorant as to what's happening. We're well aware, and we're willing to participate in it. And this is obviously a presidential election year, and there are so many Black women when it comes to politics who are 100% okay with supporting candidates who have clearly demonstrated that not only do they not care about the Black community at large, but specifically about Black men, because we recognize that with a lot of these incidents of police brutality, Black men are the targets. And when these candidates don't come out and condemn police brutality, they are clearly letting us know that they don't care for Black men, and yet we still have Black women, and I'm speaking about the ones that I'm interacting with and seeing on social media, supporting these candidates. And outside of politics, there are Black women who are in positions, whether it be attorneys, court judges, whatever it is, but they're in positions and they're choosing to go along with this system that is harming our men. And I'm just really getting frustrated by what I see online. And I'm a younger, a Black woman who is younger than the two of you, and so maybe what I'm seeing is.
Well, how do you know how old I am, sister? Speak for yourself. I'm just kidding.
Well, I watch both of your channels, and I know that you have two children who I'm not too far from aging them. So, but anyways,
I tell my age all the time. So hey,
I won't name the channels that some of your audience members, or maybe even you, may be familiar with, but there really does seem to be a campaign against our men, and I just don't get it. Like, why is it that we are, and I won't say we're the only group of people, I'm not speaking about other people, but why is it that we are a group of people who are okay separating ourselves from our men, knowing that they are supposed to be the group of people to protect us? Like, what do we think we're going to get out of this?
Well, you're saying exactly what I was saying. It's systemic. It's systematic as well. It's engineering. It's conditioning. And it has been like that for 400 years. And I'm not going to say that there aren't people like Mechee, you, me, that we love our men, we support our men. Mm-hmm. There are those of us. But media has a great way of, that's how propaganda works. Media has a great way of putting images out there that conditions and it massages our subconscious mind, and then that's all we see, right? And so once you see that constantly, you start to take on this personification. You start to take on this belief system, and we don't even realize that our mind is being controlled. So the women that you're speaking of, I wonder how many of them actually realize their mind is being controlled, but I bet you they'll deny it because they're a strong Black woman.
Yeah, that's the problem in there, right? Strong Black woman always equates not having a man. And so you were saying earlier about the angry Black woman.
Well, I won't hold you all longer. I have much more commentary, but I obviously know that you want to get to other callers. So thank you for
thank
my
you.
call.
We appreciate you.
But I wouldn't say that it's even a matter of being angry. I think that Black women have just been conditioned to run everything in their household. So how many women have done that for so long, and then when you find a man and he come in, you don't even know how to relinquish responsibility to him. You checking him about how shit go in your house, right?
Yeah.
Instead of letting him be the man. And it is a conditioning. And so we deal with a lot of that. And so for me, it's not even the angry part. It's just the part of I've had to do everything, including what a man normally does around the house or in the family. And so because of having to do that and live that way as Black women, we get to a point where it's not even about the being the angry. I think we've been so conditioned to be the one carrying the whole burden. It becomes a challenge for us when it's time to find your femininity again.
Well, that's why I say
it's not always easy.
That's why I say I remove the word anger out of it, right? Because that's even like that's propaganda talk, right? So you're absolutely right. I just think that what we have to become aware of is that there are things within us that we've been conditioned to believe and respond to automatically, right? And that's why in my women's class, in my relationship coaching class, I apologize for that, guys. That's why in my relationship coaching class, I speak to this constantly, right? I speak to how we have to start shifting our thought process when we think about the Black man, how we need to learn how to identify what is being said, even though it's not verbally being said. What in the heck is going on?
Yeah, it's going to voicemail. That's a sign
Good Lord.
that we need to be done with class tonight. Dr. Shonna did that. She manifested it because she ready to be done.
Yes, y'all know when I'm ready to be done, I am ready to be done. But I say all of that to say that one thing I teach about is we really do have to understand. We have to understand our relationship with the black man. We have to understand what is being said that isn't verbally being communicated. And when we are so conditioned from our aunties, our grandmas, our mom, don't trust a man for nothing, don't need a man for nothing, make sure you have your own. And I'm not saying those things don't apply, but the same message we are getting, many of us have seen our aunties, our grandmas, your sisters,
but even today in the music, especially even now, you don't need a man for nothing. You got the bag, give me some money and that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're conditioned not only in media and music, but even in our family members.
But let's even just talk about the life that we live for a second, and we'll get out of here because I don't know. Maybe we take one more call if he can fix the phone. If not, then we'll be out of here. But
another call. We all need to be on
what I will say is, even in the conditioning, even when you're a woman that doesn't believe that way, when you have lived a life where you have been put in a position to defend yourself, provide for yourself, do everything for yourself in the household, have to deal with everything when it comes to the kids, what happens is you begin to. I find a lot of black women is that just begins to become the norm for you. It's not even about saying I don't need a man around. You just haven't had men around to do these things. And so you get into a mode of taking on the role that men should be there to play in the household. It's what it should be. But because of all of the reasons why men have been taken out the household, whether it be that they got all these men in dresses now, whether it be they put them in prison, or whether it be that they murder them, or whatever it is, there's not this man in the household. And so it's not even, I think, a conscious thing sometimes that when men come along, your first instinct is, I've been doing this all along. So it's hard to relinquish that responsibility, let somebody else to be the protector, the provider, tell you what you should be doing, to shut up and let them have that final say, to let them discipline the kids. Like, it's hard to do that when you haven't done that for so long. So you're kind of conditioned just in your day-to-day life. And I think black women find a hard time of how to come back and step back from that again and find your femininity and let the man be the masculine one in the household, although we both hold different energies. Also, too, I think the bad thing for black women is that there's power in femininity, and we don't even understand and value the power in femininity. We think somehow it makes us weaker, so we take on this masculinity because that's what we're missing in our household, and we're more masculine than we are feminine because that's what it takes us to survive. We've adapted, right? We've adjusted and we've adapted ourselves to the environment we live in for survival purposes. And so and then we get away from that femininity. But the problem is that we all think that masculinity is the strength, but there's power in femininity, but we don't realize the power in that. We don't realize it and we don't know it.
Absolutely. You know, I believe there's power in femininity. And
absolutely.
Not only do I have masculine energy, I'm a masculine sign. I'm Aquarius, so it was a very masculine sign. But I've learned how to harness the power of my femininity. But the one thing I would say, we are conditioned to have a westernized mindset. So I have a lot of people who are Asian, and of that, whether they're Indian or Asian, how we think of Asian, because some of us, when we say Asian, we don't think of Indians, even though they're Southeast Asians, right? So I have a lot of members that come to me from that community, and guess what? They don't take on the roles how we take on the roles, how we think of masculinity and femininity. They don't do it like that. And so, like, if that woman is able to come here and she's faster, she's able to obtain employment faster than he is, then she becomes a breadwinner. There's no argument about that. And he does the other roles, but it doesn't take away his masculinity. It doesn't take away his power and his strength. But we have been conditioned to look at it differently, right? So then we don't want the man who's not able to make as much money or more than us. We think that if he has to be six figures because we're six figures, or he has to have a certain education because we have a certain education. I treat so many people that are even outside of our community, and they don't think like that.
Yeah, and this could be a whole nother conversation, so we won't go too far in it. But I just want to say that for me, it's not even the money thing. It's something as simple as somebody come banging at my door at 2 a.m. I'm used to being the one that has to address what's on the other side of that door.
Yeah, and
so even things like that. Then when you finally have a man, your first instinct is to jump up and be at the damn door. And he like, babe, I got this. So it's even little things like that. Not even the money. I'm not even talking about the money.
But I'm saying the money also plays a big factor in many of our households.
It does,
because we feel like I'm so tired. I'm doing every goddamn
But that's
thing.
conditioning, like you said, through media, because a man, it doesn't take away from his responsibilities or his masculinity if he decides that he's the one that's at home doing things, or he makes less than you. Right. I don't agree with that.
Media has us believing that. So we don't agree with that.
Right.
But I see so many women that come in and the argument is finances. The argument is his inability to provide.
Right.
The is all of that. So what I'm saying is we need to have a whole reconditioning of our mindset.
Yeah.
Because we are at war, and a lot of our men, I'm not saying all, but a lot of our men are systematically placed out of certain jobs.
Absolutely.
And for some reason, we don't see why we have the higher numbers.
But when you take that away from men, then the black men are not allowed to provide and
Absolutely.
protect and do what they need to do for their
It's a
family, which
destruction.
every other group of men do. And even though that's not the thing that necessarily defines their masculinity to the T, that is still something that in other races you find that that's the dynamic that the men bring to the family, and the women also allow that to be. So they take that away, and it trickles into other things.
But what I'm saying to you is, we can't generalize that to all, because I know of a lot, and you can do the research. It's out there. There are a lot where the woman is the breadwinner. Mm-hmm. And she understands, because they immigrate from one country into this country, and because she's a woman, she's able to get the employment faster than her man is.
But that's all about doing what's best for the family. It doesn't mean he loses his masculinity or he loses his ability to be the man in his household.
And that's the point I'm making.
Right.
I'm saying they still maintain the masculinity. Right. But for some reason, it's for some of our households, not all, but for some of our households, we have this mindset that if you're not doing as much as I'm doing, you can't tell me what to do. That is a poisonous, toxic mindset that we have to dismantle.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Right. You're right. It plays into a lot of factors and
why
we're divided. It was a good show. So apparently, Jesus, I don't know if I call him Black Jesus, if some of y'all rest better with that, but Jesus said that we can't take no more phone calls tonight. So he let the phone not work no more. It's Jesus, either it's iPhones. I don't know, y'all. I swear y'all phones be popping like no other. But one of the things happened. Either Jesus said no or the iPhone said no. So it was Bill Gates or Jesus. But anyway, we can't take no more phone calls right now.
Is it Bill Gates or Steve Jobs?
Steve Jobs. Whatever. Y'all know these white people names better than me. Means you don't know. Whatever, okay? So we gotta get out of here, you guys. We want to thank y'all for tuning in. If you're over here for the first time, y'all do me a favor, y'all hit that like button, hit that share button, but more importantly, hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, so when it is not hating, it will let you know when we are live, because we're going to continue to have more of these discussions. We're going to come back with interviews, so you're going to catch a whole lot of commentary on this channel from Mechee. So of course, follow me still on my channel. Follow Dr. Shonna on her channel. But you will
follow
see
Extraction.
Yes, and follow this channel so that you can get more of this that we're having, right? The call-ins and the conversations. And maybe it's a different side. I don't know. Y'all tell me a different side of Mechee. Usually when I'm by myself, I get to going in. So this is a little different, sharing it with someone else. I hope that you guys are enjoying this setup and the way that we have done it. I like to have somebody else to bounce off of. And I like the fact that it's somebody that doesn't always agree with me. I don't do yes men. I like people to stand in their own ground. I really respect people for that more than I respect people who just agree with everything. So
but I do agree with not being kumbaya.
Don't get me wrong, we disagree on a lot, but we agree on a lot too, right?
Yes.
So it's not that we disagree on everything. So with that said, you guys, y'all do me a favor, like this video, share this video, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Again, Dr. Shonna, tell them where they can find you aside from being here with me.